I click. There's a brief pause before the homepage climbs, stuttering into the screen. It looks just like it did 6 months ago, with one exception. It's not been touched since then. It actually feels neglected. Lonely, if that's possible for a website. Like it's haunted. Like there are electronic cobwebs in there. I click some of the dust away. This site, whatgoesup.com, is at heart a comical collection of bizarre accidents. A bit like You've Been Framed on the telly, but not so tasteful and without the fluffy animals. Apart from one clip, featuring a puppy and a lawnmower. A celebration of the spectacularly stupid, Max Wormwood had once called it, its owner and creator. One character that ably satisfies both these criteria, and who drops in on the site with frightening regularity, was Osgood Harback. It's hard to know really how best to describe Osgood. His daughter Tori doesn't do a bad job.
Dad has attempted suicide 45 times. It's an official world record. The TV show Nevermind the Buzzsaws have named an award in honour of him for persistence in the face of overwhelming stupidity. There are 3 different websites devoted to him. He's got 2 fan clubs and is an inspiration behind a sick computer game. There was even talk of a movie. It started when he was 8, when he jumped off the garage roof. And as a child, if he wasn't trying to swallow stuff from under the sink, he'd be throwing himself off it, or trying to drown himself in it. I don't think he was very happy. He's tried 14 times in public. 7 have been videoed. He's been on the news over 20 times. 2 attempts are records in their own right, and there have been 3 copycat deaths attributed to his infame. He's only tried to kill himself in front of me twice. Once he got me to hold the camera while he slit his throat open. They didn't name any awards for that. I was 6. Or discussed making a movie. I was all alone in that house and he just lay there gurgling. I didn't even know how to turn the video camera off. That was attempt number 20. Cost him 18 months in the loony bin. It was my worst birthday ever.
Most of this is on the site as an interview with her. The piece is called If at First. Max plays circus music under her audio. You know the one. That's one thing I miss about him. He wasn't afraid to laugh at fucked up people.
Why is it the feelings we have towards suicide victims are so different from those we have for other violent murderers? Why do we call them victims, not culprits?
Max Wormwood was more than a director or mere curator, mind you. He was a star of the show in his own right. What had begun life as a YouTube video of him and some scaffolding in a comic scrape with the laws of gravity had grown into the hugely successful website and franchise whatgoesup.com. His clip remained one of the site's most popular hits and one of the funniest things you'll ever see. I first met Max through work on a case, one he would caringly refer to later as the pencil case. My name's Fanny, by the way. Fanny Saturday. I'm a coroner's forensic psychologist, meaning I grub around in the ugly lobes of dead people's heads. I'm not poorly suited to the job. Max was being sued over a piece on the site that the plaintiff believed had led her 12-year-old sister Effie to attempt suicide. The piece in question was about a Japanese schoolgirl who became so desperate during an exam, she took her own life, then and there, by shoving pencils into each of her nostrils and slamming her head, face first, into the desk. This, of course, is not true. It's an urban myth. I mean, you couldn't possibly kill yourself like that. It's insane. You could, however, do considerably more than just give yourself a bit of a headache. When Effie tried, the pencils snapped. She was spared the horrors of permanent brain damage. But trauma like that can leave much deeper scars. Without medication, Effie's unable to fight a morbid fascination with putting things up her nose. Mealtimes are a nightmare. I won't ask you to picture toilet time. The case was easily resolved in Max's favour, of course. There were numerous references to the original story all over the web, and the fact that Effie had found it on What Goes Up did not suggest any culpability on Max's part. But he was ordered to put warnings up on the site, which he did. Huge red flashing letters. Do not try this at home. I think he thought it was funny.
Not everybody gets my sense of humour. I get a lot of hate mail. Most of it is hilarious. I encourage it. I throw the meanest and sickest like gauntlets onto the site. My favourite goes, how does a one-armed man cut his wrists? Of course, this is completely wrong. You can see that. It should be wrist, not wrists.
What part of your soul do you have to give up to find that funny? Or the pencil case gag amusing? He's not an easy man to like, our Max. However, it would be unfair not to point out how badly the accident crippled and disfigured him. It might help you change your mind about him. Might not. Despite 17 operations, surgeons were unable to save most of his left arm, hence his so-called joke, or his left foot. It was a full year and a half before he could walk again. He continued to suffer from fits, migraines and blackouts until the end. But it was what the accident did to his face that did him the most damage. It smashed the humanity out of him. Maybe our faces have more to do with how human we feel than we realize.